First off, I'm going to put timestamps at the bottom of the video. You can skip to any part you're interested in hearing, and you can just skip over the stuff you don't care about. It'll have all the items, the general changes, the miscellaneous, all that, and then all the heroes listed. So if you want to just skip to the part you want to hear, then go ahead and skip to that, and you'll be good. Either way, let's get into it. General changes. Added a new hero, Raven, to Hero Labs. So it's just in the test mode, not the actual game. Added park theming to Purple Lane. Added park backdrop to park side of map. Updated tree models, new visual style, and added collision to canopies. I want to test to see if you can still wall jump off trees. I assume you can, but maybe this affects it. For each player on the main leaderboard, you can now see their top 3 heroes as well as their overall skill. Move the post-game survey to the final score screen. That's the pop-up, did you have fun, that just blocks you from saying GG, stuff like that. So I'm glad that's a good change. Added a text box to post-game survey, I'm guessing so you can say whatever you want. I don't know what the point of that is. Muting a player now also silences map drawings, pings, and chat wheel messages. This is good because one of the most annoying things is people that just scribble all over the map. I hate that. But now that they got rid of that, there's a way to stop it. That's good. Various rendering performance improvements on map assets. Added 2 new settings, force English hero names, force English item names, which will display those values in English regardless of your chosen language. I only speak English, I only use English settings, so this doesn't affect me, but you know, for Duolingo people, that's probably good. Added toggle crouch as a new keybind. Added new setting option, additional build search language, which allows you to select a language to search for when requesting builds in addition to current display language of the client. So that way you don't just get a bunch of Chinese builds, basically. Fix shop not working when the shop opened from resources. Revisions to melee parry effect and removal of the parry fail effect to make parries more clear. Tweaked fall off range and toned down bass frequencies from hotel music. I think it's funny that these are on the same bullet, even though they're not related at all. But I don't know, kind of funny. Added pocket barrage cast delay sound. Updated pocket enchanted satchel cast sound. Passive cooldown indicator now shows when the item is off cooldown instead of 1 second before. I think that's nice. Fixed invulnerable to debuff sound effect playing at the wrong time. Fixed melee damage audio playing despite no damage dealt. I think this means like in lane you'll randomly hear a melee from the background. I think it means they fixed that. Fixed rejuve collect sound playing from wrong location in hero sandbox. Updated parry cast and parry success sounds. Mirage now has custom animations for most of its core movement. Fixed being able to wall jump off the same surface multiple times. Fixed the damage report UI clipping into the shop in sandbox mode. Fixed shop showing with a broken tab if you had previously navigated to the hero builds and opened it from resource. Fixed clicking on minimap not taking you to that location as a spectator. Fade rooftop antenna ambient effects so they're not visible at a distance. Visual revisions to quantum entanglement effect. That is Dynamo's dash. Reverted recent updates to Shiv's run animation. I'm not sure why they did that. I guess they didn't like the animation. I don't know. Increased volume and adjust the mixed sound for firing while disarmed and using abilities while silenced. Lash's flog impact sound adjusted for better feedback for the attacking player. Fixed bug preventing purchase sound and from playing when buying / quick buying active or imbue items. Visual updates to Mirage muzzle flasks and tracers. Updated bullet flurry tracers to be spirit based. I'm guessing that means they're like purple, I guess, spirit based. I don't know what that means. Fixed Bebop's bomb damage growth not being reflected in the tooltip. Fixed Grey Talon's spirit power growth from his ult not being reflected in the shop. Fixed to Yamato shadow transformation visual when the duration is extended after killing an enemy. Fixed some items sound playing on the caster rather than the target. Updated Krill VO, largely remastering past, but also some new content. Same thing for Ivy, and Ivy now can speak Spanish better, so that's cool. Fixed a regression where Kelvin referenced Grey Talon incorrectly. Basically, he used Grey Talon's old name, so they finally fixed that. There's a few of those that actually they do that. McGinnes says Kevin instead of Kelvin, I noticed, but yeah. Updated Divine Barrier cast sound. Added telemetry HUD option settings. The telemetry HUD is an in-game HUD which allows you to monitor the frame rate and network conditions, so you can see your FPS, your ping, whatever else, instead of having to open up the console and do dash status. So that's cool. Added new learn to play tutorial images in collaboration with Toasty Ghosty. Okay. Steam input support, added support for new crouch toggle, added 3 new official control schemes, standard, gyro, flickstick, thanks to flickstick vids for consultation, added versioning systems to configs. That is all of the general changes. Now, miscellaneous changes. Added an extra competitive option to allow players to control what type of players are placed on their team. If you prefer to play with higher levels of coordination, communication, and competitiveness, then you can use this option to tell the matchmaker to build your team with like-minded allies. This option will sometimes be inactive in scenarios where the pool is very shallow. An example is large portion of Infernus, off-peak hours like 5 a.m., extremely long queues, etc. But otherwise, in most normal scenarios, the matchmaker will attempt to find you similar players. I don't know why you wouldn't want to have a team that communicated and tried to play well. To me, this makes no sense. Like, I don't know. I guess if you're just trying to like get drunk and play and not care, then I guess you'd turn this off. I don't know. The new extra competitive option, incoming chat and lane preference party only setting are now collected within the queue options button. All right. The recent changes to increase party size allowed top MMR from 2 to 3, reverted for Infernus and up, but maintained for Ascendant. Okay, so Infernus can only do parties of 2, but Ascendant on down could do 3. But if you get low enough, you could do 6-man. Okay. The matchmaker will now try to prioritize each team having at least 2 frontliners when it has the option. This is good, because in high rank, if you queue and you have 2 tanks and they have 0, you'll win like 90% of the time, because the players are just, they punish you too hard. Ability range stat now has diminishing stacking. Ability duration stat now has diminishing stacking. Fire rate now has a minimum final value of -50. I think this means if you have multiple sources of negative fire rate, it won't put you below -50. Heroes now have increased movement speed by 0.5 sprint, and sprint boots and enduring speed both got nerfed by the same amount. So they just took it off of the boots and put it on your guy normally. Carrying the urn now sets and limits your movement speed to a fixed 13. This includes Ivy airdrop. It no longer provides sprint. The speed cannot be reduced or increased, so you just automatically get 13 move speed everyone, no matter what. Okay. Speed cannot be reduced or increased. Does that mean you're immune to slows? That's interesting. Okay. Urn spawn point now alternates left and right, starting with left rather than being random. That's good. Makes it easier to predict. Shooting a trooper on a zipline now causes other troopers to fall off. That's convenient. Flying over buildings now no longer causes you to get zapped. Only standing on the building is. Vindicta players and Great Talons will be happy about that. Patron HP reduced by 2,500. Downed Patron HP reduced by 4,500. 7k total. However, it does grow starting at the 20-minute mark. It grows health. So by the time you're at the 30-minute mark, it's back to normal. But at the 25-minute mark, it's more tanky. At the 40-minute mark, it's 25% more tanky. Added tick-based soul system that gives the bottom 2 net worth players on the team a small amount of souls per second. The amount of souls available is distributed to the bottom 2 players is based on the souls gathered by your team, 2 and 1%. This occurs after laning phase. It doesn't say on both teams. I'm just going to assume it means for both teams. So the bottom 4 people, 2 on each side, get extra money. And I don't like the wording after lane phase because that's subjective, I guess. But the lane phase rules change at the 8-minute mark. So this really should say this occurs at the 8-minute mark, just to be clear. Added new limiting function for the soul orb duplication abusing lane phase. Okay, so these two are basically saying, yeah, you can only get 4 orbs per trooper wave. Basically, they nerfed the ability to run from one lane to the side lane, or middle lane to the side lane to do double soaking and go back and forth really fast. Yeah, they just nerfed that again. Not surprised. Personally, I don't really like the solution, but what else can they do? Oh well. Reverted a few changes recently relating to soul duplication issues. So basically, they just nerfed it again. Reverted Guardians. So they took these out. Guardians now. So they nerfed the damage to troopers. nerf the damage to players. They made so you can still get orbs further, but I'm guessing they did that because you can only get 4 per wave anyway, so who cares? Troopers now do 20% more damage to each other. I don't like the idea that the troopers are tanky to players but not each other. It's kind of weird. I don't know what they're trying to do here, but whatever. Weapon items or orange items. Basic mag got nerfed to reduce damage by 3%. Close quarters damage nerfed by 3%. Close quarters bullet resist nerfed by 1%. Headshot booster cooldown nerfed by 1 second. High velocity mag damage nerfed by 2%. Hollow point word threshold nerfed by 5%, so you have to have 5% more HP to get the buff, and the buff itself is nerfed by 2%. Monster rounds is nerfed by 6%. By the way, a little side note, this versus NPCs affects towers, by the way. Unless they nerfed it without saying, then yeah, that affects towers. It's just, nice to know. Rapid rounds, fire rate reduced from 11 to 10, so nerfed by 1%. Restorative shot, damage nerfed by 3%. Lots of nerfs. Berserker now builds into Frenzy. Active reload buffed by, the ammo is buffed by 6%. Fleetfoot, the cooldown is nerfed by 1 second. Melee charge, the health is nerfed by 10. Spellslinger headshot, proc bonus changed from 3% spirit power to 3% spirit amp. Okay. Point blank now provides plus 20% melee resistance. Toxic bullets bleed is buffed by 0.25. Alchemical fire, spirit power is nerfed by 4. Sharpshooter now slows your fire rate and slows your movement speed. I think this is a stupid change personally, but I mean, who wants to buy an item that slows you? I don't know. It just seems dumb. Weapon damage is buffed by 10%, however, and also the range is buffed by 20%. Problem is you're not often shooting people at that range, so I don't know if that's worth it. Titan magazine melee resistance is buffed by 5%. Alchemical fire, there's 2 variants, so you can actually tell a friendly alchemical fire versus an enemy alchemical fire. So that's good. I like that. It's annoying that it's like you never know if you should touch it or not, but you just touch it anyway. All right. Frenzy now builds from Berserker. Grants Berserker passives. So basically all the stuff from Berserker is now also on Frenzy because it's a component to it. Makes sense. Crippling headshot now stacks diminishingly. I literally said in a video, my Haze video that I posted a few days ago, that this was cool because it stacked with bullet resistant shredder, but they literally just nerfed that. That's kind of funny. Shadow Wave spot radius is increased by 4. Lucky Shot proc nerfed by 1%. The buildup is nerfed by 18% for Silencer. Spiritual Overflow, the cooldown reduction is nerfed by 3%. That's all of the orange items. Now onto the green items, the Vitality items. Extra Stamina, fire rate nerfed by 1%. Healing rate health bonus nerfed by 15. Healing Nova, time to heal is nerfed by 0.75. It still does the same amount. It just does it slightly slower, so it's not like an instant burst. It's like, kind of thing. Enchanter's Barrier, cooldown reduction is nerfed by 2%. Return Fire no longer has plus 9 spirit power. Instead, it has 3 HP regen and 10% ammo, which makes sense because this is the stats coming from extra regen, and extra regen is a component to this, so makes sense. Restorative Locket cooldown is buffed by 5 seconds. Bellwalker, when shot while you're invisible, it takes 1 second to re-stealth instead of 0.25, so that's a nerf. Cooldown is nerfed by 4 seconds. Majestic Leap is buffed, so you no longer get interrupted when you're doing slam down when you get shot. Metal Skin duration is buffed by 0.5 seconds. Metal Skin movement distance reduced by, or stamina movement resistance reduced by 25%. Rescue Beam range nerfed by 4 meters. Debuff Remover buffed duration buffed by 5 seconds. Debuff Remover heal on active increased from 10% to 300. The wording on this is stupid. It says increased. It should say changed because this isn't necessarily an increase if you have more than 3,000 HP. So either way, it makes sense. Wording is a little weird. Unstoppable now has 20% slow resistance. So now it's another item that gives you slow resistance. So it's not just the enduring speed. So that's nice. Leech no longer gives cooldown reduction, but it builds from Healbane and provides anti-heal. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Now, purple items or spirit items. Infuser duration is buffed by 2 seconds. It nerfed the 50 health is off buff. There's a buff for it to replace that, which is 70 spirit shield. Overall, I would say that's a good buff because the duration 2 seconds longer is actually really nice. Withering Whip duration is buffed by 0.5. Withering Whip bullet resistance is buffed by 1%. Sorry, the bullet resistance reduction is buffed, is what I should say. Slowing Hex cooldown is nerfed by 2 seconds. Suppressor duration is buffed by 0.5 seconds. Decay bleed damage is buffed by 0.1% damage. Rapid recharge cooldown for charge abilities is nerfed by 5%. Ethereal Shift is buffed. It allows you to move slowly instead of being stunned during the shift, basically. Silence Glyph now pierces through all enemies in its path, so it won't just hit a minion and be wasted. Silence Glyph projectile is bigger, and the collision size is bigger too. So that's good. Now it's actually possible to land. Arcane Surge ability range nerfed by 2%. Arcane Surge ability duration nerfed by 2%. The Spirit Power is nerfed by 2 also, so they just nerfed it straight off everything. Mystic Slow duration is increased by 0.5, so that's a good buff. Surge of Power fire rate is buffed by 5%. Knockdown stun is nerfed by 0.15. However, it can be up to 1 second longer the higher the target is when you knock them down. Up to 30 meters. So if they're 1 foot off the ground, it's going to be slightly more, but if they're clear up here in the sky, they're going to have a really long stun. So that's pretty good. Refresher nerfed on the cast delay by 0.3 seconds. Diviner's Kevlar, the cooldown reduction is nerfed by 2%. Diviner's Kevlar, the ability duration is buffed by 3%. However, remember that ability duration stacks diminishingly, so if you have other ones, then it doesn't really do anything. Mystic Reverb damage is increased by 5%. Magic Carpet duration is buffed by 1 second. All right, that's all the items. Let's talk about the hero changes. Starting with Abrams. Bullet damage is nerfed by 1.3. Spirit Siphon scaling is increased by 0.15, and this is 0.13. So, buff overall for Abrams, so that's cool. Bebop. Uppercut now locks enemies out of the air for 0.5 seconds, down from 1 second, so you can dash quicker when you get knocked up. Hook now shows hero icon when you connect with a target. Hook delay reduced when pulling allies. Hook tier 1 now also improves melee damage, so I guess the damage applies to your just normal light melee and heavy melee. Dynamo fixed quantum entanglement, not deselecting you if you're silenced and targeting. I'm so glad they finally did this. If you get cursed and you had your quantum entanglement out, you're stuck. You can't cancel it. It's annoying. So I'm glad they fixed that. Kinetic Pulse tier 2 now affects melee damage too, so same thing up here. Fixed Magic Carpet plus heal, Dynamo heal interaction. Singularity cooldown is nerfed by, what is that, like 24 seconds. Singularity now deals half damage to objectives. That's probably a good change because Singularity does percent damage, so it just automatically does like 30%. Pretty good. Singularity fixed tooltip referencing knockup that it doesn't do. Yeah, it says it like holds him here and then knocks him up, but it doesn't actually do that, which I thought was funny. So they finally fixed that. There's a bunch of tooltips that are wrong in this game. That's just one of them. Great Talon. They renamed Immobilizing Trap to Spirit Snare. So now Spirit Snare does a curse debuff to all enemies. So it's an AoE curse basically. Okay. The tier 2 no longer increases the slow, but instead it increases the curse debuff by half second. You can now shoot the center of the trap with a charge shot, which is the first ability, to have it explode. I don't know if that's worth it personally, because I'd rather just shoot the person with the charge shot, because the charge shot hits so hard, but who knows? Maybe it's worth it. Charge shot now can hit orbs. Haze is getting nerfed to the ground. Let's just see it happen. Just not to the ground, but you know she's getting nerfed. She's way too good. Smoke Bomb. The sprint is nerfed by 1 movement. The charge time is nerfed by 3 seconds. Fixed fixation not working correctly with debuff resist. Fixation damage is nerfed by 0.03 on the tier 3 upgrade, which is significant because it's 80 stacks, right? So it's really 0.3 times 80. So yeah. Sleep state no longer disables the target. Instead, it allows them to move just really slowly. So basically, they're slowed and silenced. I don't know why it's called sleep, but I guess it is. Damaging them still wakes them up, so that's a pretty bad nerf. Sleep Dagger now takes effect immediately rather than a brief delay. That's also kind of a nerf because it was nice to be shooting someone, throw it at him, and keep shooting him, and then it like interrupts, and then just, there's a little delay right there. Fixed creep waking up enemies, that's good. Nerf the cooldown on the ult by 12 seconds. Nerf the damage on the tier 1 upgrade. Buffed the upgrade by 2 seconds, so overall nerf of 10 seconds on the cooldown. Bullet Dance fixed an issue causing the game to freeze. Oh, so they nerfed you used to be able to ult and just make everyone disconnect, so they nerfed that. You can't do that anymore, so just kidding. It's probably good they fixed that. Infernus, Flame Dash. Cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds. Tier 3 is nerfed by 4 seconds. So overall, it's an increase by 1 second, but you just start with 5 of it. Flame Dash, Tier 3 now also makes so it's a charged ability with the 15-second charge time. So you can actually run in there and run out instead of just running in there and being useless. Afterburn, scale is buffed by 0.1. Ivy. Melee damage and growth reduced by 15. I don't understand this and growth completely. Maybe it's saying like the if things increase your damage on the melee, that's nerfed slightly, I guess. But who knows. Health nerfed by 25. Watcher's Covenant. So when you're linked to a person and you're full health, it doesn't heal, but now the mid still will, so that's good. Watcher's Covenant now initially locks onto the target you're facing in your facing direction if there is one. Okay. That's good. Instead of having it go to random people. Stone Form now shows Ivy a physical. So when you jump up to Stone Form down, you can see a little circle where you're going to stun. That's nice. Kudzu Bomb now grows on the ground if it hits Geo. So if it hits a corner, like a box or something, it'll just float in the air. And they made so now it'll grow around the corner. So that's good. That's better. Airdrop damage reduced by 25. Fixed Phantom Strike, not knocking Ivy out of the air during her ult. The airdrop now lets you choose to significantly reduce your upward initial by holding down the fly down key. Okay. All right. Overall, probably good changes. Couple nerfs, couple buffs. Kelvin fixed some issues with being unable to shoot over half height. Oh yeah, because he holds his gun so low that it's just hitting the box even though he can clearly see over it. That's funny. Frost Grenade now also reduces stamina regeneration. Frozen Shelter now is... so it's when you release the key up instead of pressing down. So before you press down, instantly you're in a snow globe. Now you press down and you have an aimer, and then if you release, it sends out the snow globe. That's good. The cooldown is nerfed by 3 seconds, and the upgrade is buffed by 2 seconds. So overall, nerf of 1 second. I mean, I don't know if that matters, but whatever. Lady Geist. Malice now can secure orbs. Soul Exchange Tier 2 changed from minus 10 min health to on cast fire rate. So they moved the fire rate from the Tier 3 to the Tier 2. And they made so, holy cow. Okay, so Soul Exchange is the ult. They made so when you cast it, it does AoE silence, 15 meters, AoE silence for 3 seconds. That is kind of insane. That's really, really cool. Life drain duration is increased by half second. Life drain Tier 3 no longer silences, but instead becomes a charged ability, and you can cast multiple drains life at the same time. It says no charge time. So does that mean if you're drain lifing on this guy, you can drain life a second guy without using the charge? I don't know what that means exactly right here, no charge time. But, okay. So you can have multiple going at the same time, though. That's cool. Definitely going to try out some Lady Geist. Lady Geist is super fun. Lash, Ground Strike. Tier 1 improved, so they buffed the cooldown reduction by a half second. Death Slam, which is the ult, cooldown is increased by 3 seconds. The channel time is increased by 0.3 seconds. The impact radius is increased by 1 meter. The angle, the cone, where you can scoop people up, is increased by 10 meters. The cast range is increased by 2 meters. They took off the damage upgrade and they changed it to a cooldown reduction, and they got rid of the cooldown reduction on tier 3, and they made so when they slam down, the impacted area is stunned for 1 second. So overall, huge bust for Lash. That's really good. Slam fixed to render. Okay, same thing. Haze, when the ult, kicks everyone out of the game. Lash, when the ult, kicks everyone out of the game. They fixed both of those, supposedly. We'll see. McGinnes, mini turret HP gain per boon is HP gain per boon is increased by 10. The mini turrets no longer have a limit of 33 per second. They cannot die within 4 seconds. If they're killed during this time, they'll be marked for death and they'll just slowly like break down and malfunction. That's kind of cool, I guess. Mini turret fire rate is reduced by 20%. Mirage. Fire Scarab now applies its drain over 4 seconds instead of front loaded. Fire Scarab no longer restricts you from hitting the same target multiple times. It just refreshes so you can just drain them like crazy. It's pretty cool. Fire Scarab launch window is increased by 3 seconds. I like this overall. I think it's a good change. Traveler now allows you to rotate the camera while you're teleporting. That's the biggest buff ever. Tier 2 is they took off the cooldown reduction and they said grant ally traveler benefits. If cast on an enemy, it goes to the closest ally. I guess this means they get some kind of buff, like when Mirage teleports, he gets a buff. Maybe it's the same buff. I don't know. Mo and Krill. Burrow is no longer affected by shoulder charge, which is Abrams charge. Mo and Krill Spectral Wall no longer hits you while you are burrowed. Mo and Krill Scorn now heals you instantly rather than over 1 second. Mo and Krill combo health gain tooltip clarified. Nice. Mo and Krill was already annoying. Now he's even more annoying. That's cool. Paradox Time Wall. Stop duration reduced by 0.1 seconds. Paradox Kinetic Carbine stop duration reduced by 0.1, and the upgrade is reduced by 0.1. They just nerf Paradox over and over and over. It's crazy. They just cannot stop nerfing her. Pocket health growth reduced by 4. Pocket Satchel is buffed by 0.25 seconds. The cooldown, the escape window is nerfed by half second until you get the tier 3 upgrade, then it gets back. Flying Cloak gets the same duration, but it's slower, so slight nerf there. Affliction now immediately does 18% of current HP on application. Huge buff. The DPS is nerfed to compensate, but honestly, who cares? Because if you just nuke them down, you just kill them anyway. And I think this is better anyway. Affliction DPS Spirit scaling is nerfed. The radius is nerfed by 5 meters, so that's pretty significant actually. That's a third of it gone. The increase on the tier 3 is nerfed. However, it now increases. Okay, so the 5 meters that you lose here, you get it back when you get the upgrade on tier 3, and also the initial damage is increased by 5%. So this will go to 23%. Overall, I say that's a buff. Pretty cool. 7. Stormcloud now grants you a secondary ability, Lightning Strike. It's a one-time use AoE ability. You can target anywhere in your ultimate range. After a 2-second delay, it releases a vertical lightning strike onto a 6-meter area, knocking enemies away from that radius. 6-meter knockback, dealing 150 damage, and it scales with spirit power. So basically, before when you're 7 and you ult, everyone just ignores you and line of sight you and pretend you don't exist. Now you can knock them into. You can shoot a lightning bolt and knock them out. That's kind of cool, I guess. DPS is nerfed by 15, who cares? But you can move slightly, 2.5 movement speed during your ult. So that's pretty cool, actually. Shiv fixed some targeting issues with Killing Blow. Yeah, targeting on this game is pretty bad, honestly, so we'll see how that helps. Vindicta. Health reduced by 20. Health is nerfed by 25. Crow Familiar projectile speed is buffed significantly. It's increased by 1,250. Stake cooldown is reduced by 2 seconds. Stake radius stake upgrade cooldown is nerfed, but you start with an extra, so overall buff. Oh wait, it's buffed, so it's minus 3 seconds. Okay, so that's even better. Tier 3 duration is nerfed by 0.25 seconds, but it now also makes the radius bigger. So honestly, it's easier to land, but it's slightly shorter, and it's shorter cooldown. That's way better. Time between assassinate charges is nerfed by 0.4 seconds. The base damage is nerfed by 10, and the upgrade damage is nerfed by 10. I don't know why they just love nerfing the snipe. It's like the whole point of the hero was to be a sniper, right? So why do you nerf the snipe over and over? It's crazy. Viscous, fixed visual parry cooldown bug with puddle punch. Viscous, the cube cooldown reduced by 6 seconds. The cast range is nerfed by 4 meters. Puddle punch radius is increased by 0.5. Puddle punch now reduced slow from 20 to 15, and the upgrade is also 20 to 15. Tier 3 now causes the puddle punch to become a heavy melee. Interesting. Currently it's a light melee. Does this mean you could punch the rejuvenator if when you kill mid boss you can punch it to steal it? That's really cool if you can. Pretty cool actually. Viscous, goo ball damage, spirit scaling is nerfed by 0.2. Goo ball tier 2 damage is nerfed by 30. Interesting. I like the changes for Viscous, especially this one. The melee, heavy melee on tier 3 upgrade. Okay. Warden. Fire rate spirit power scaling is nerfed by 0.03. Last stand resistance is nerfed by 30 base, but it gets buffed over here, so who cares? Last stand now only goes on cooldown for 20 seconds when interrupted instead of the full thing. Last stand tier 2 now also reduces the cooldown by 35 seconds because they got rid of the cooldown reduction on the tier 3, and they made so the tier 3 you get 50 bullet resistance and spirit resistance instead of just 30. And the duration is increased by 2.5 seconds. So pretty good actually. Especially because like stuff like duration extender is percent based, so I'm assuming that is pretty significant. Wraith, bullet damage growth is buffed by 0.02. Full auto tier 2 upgrade now has default spirit scaling instead of waiting to tier 3. So they took half of it off the tier 3 and put it on the tier 2. Tier 3 is changed from 30% bullet lifesteal to 20% bullet and spirit lifesteal. I would say that's a buff overall. Telekinesis cast time is buffed by 0.3 seconds. Telekinesis projectile speed is buffed by 100. You know, because when Wraith ults you, then what do? You say, oh crap, Wraith ulted, everyone walk away slowly. So they kind of fixed that. Telekinesis now briefly lifts the enemy and slams them onto the ground and silences them and disarms them. So it lifts them up and smacks them down instead of just holds them up in the air and has them do this. So the tier 2 now increases the silence and disarm instead of the airlift. And the project, so now tier 3 makes it bounce instead of like AoE around you. It just bounces. That's honestly way better. Yamato, Flying Strike tier 3 now also lets you grapple ally heroes. Okay, interesting. That's pretty good. Yamato, Shadow Transformation cast time is reduced by 0.5 seconds. That's a buff and a nerf because it's a buff in the sense that you can get back to the fight and do damage quicker, but it's a nerf in the sense that you can't delay the enemy as long and like kind of waste their time and dodge abilities. So, whatever. Shadow Transformation no longer has a 0.6 post cast time. I don't even know what that means, to be honest. Shadow Transformation tier 3 now also increases resistances by 15%. I'm guessing that's bullet and spirit since it's not specified. Okay. Well, that's the changes. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to continue to post Deadlock content. I know the population's kind of shrunken down a little bit, but you know what? It's fine. I think it's normal to happen in an early access game like this. Either way, it's fun. And yeah, guess I'll see you guys in the next one. If you guys like my content, feel free to subscribe or let me know what you guys want to see. If you don't like the way I do things or you do, I am always open to feedback. Either way, guess I'll see you in the next one. See ya.